Hello everybody and welcome to Blue Water Cruising. In just 10 days, Adrienne and Peter will take delivery of their brand new Amel 50. Let's meet them to share about this new page that will be opened in their life. Hello Adrienne and Peter.
Oh, hello, Nicholas.
Hello, glad to be here.
Very happy to meet you. Boat shows are always great moments to meet people and to share about their dreams and their lives. In just 10 days, you will take delivery of your new Amel, and at this moment, you will open a new page in your life.
Yes, exactly.
We're very excited about it.
Really?
It's been a long time in the waiting. We've been making this decision. Saw our first Amel about 7 years ago at a boat show, and the dream has been building ever since.
Wow, 7 days to prepare, to mature your project.
7 years.
Yes, and to imagine what you would do aboard this Amel.
Yes.
How long have you been sailing before taking delivery of this Amel?
I started sailing on and off about 20 years ago, just local races, some time on a sailboat, and I was always attracted to sailboats in particular.
Yeah.
And then about 9 years ago, the two of us started participating in local club races and ended up buying a sailing dinghy. So we got a lot of time on board where we were able to make mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah.
And that was my first sailing experience.
First sailing experience.
And had fun with that. And then we decided we should try a keel boat, which is when we were shopping. We saw the ML at the time. The ML was honestly not achievable for us because of our place in our life at the time. We ended up buying a smaller used boat to get more experience.
Yeah. Good
kept
choice.
That boat. Yeah.
Which brand?
It was a Southerly 115.
Okay.
Fantastic boat.
It's got a good
beautiful.
blue water cruising boat.
Yeah, it was 37 feet, much smaller for us to handle and for me to learn because I had never sailed.
And where did you sail with this your first sailboat?
Yeah, we started off in 2019 on the Columbia River in Portland, Oregon, on the Pacific Northwest of the United States.
Yeah.
And that was a great area actually to learn because the ports are very closed. There's a lot of anchoring options. And in 2021, we actually took the Columbia River to the Snake River all the way to Idaho, which is about 400 nautical miles from the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. And it's all navigable through 8 different locks on the rivers. So we got a variety of experience on that 37-foot boat that has really allowed us to get familiar with the sailing, the technical aspects, and also just living aboard, the two of us.
Yeah, and then after that, we went out through the Columbia River Bar, took up to the San Juan Islands, did most of British Columbia's coastline, and then last year...
Beautiful area.
So beautiful.
Yeah, that gave us a little bit of a taste. I particularly remember Princess Louisa Inlet in 2022, the granite cliffs, and
giant cliffs.
Cliffs. That just gave us such a feeling for what's available in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. Which we then followed up in 2023, where we decided that we were going to try to go to Southeast Alaska.
Wow, Alaska.
Yeah. So we spent 8 months.
You did it?
Yeah.
Yes.
We spent 8 months last year. We went from Washington State up to Glacier Bay on the Inside Passage. And then after that, which, by the way, the glaciers and the fjords, it's incredible. And then we came down on the West Coast along the Pacific coastline there. Yeah. And stopped in Haida Gwaii, which is a Native American reservation set of islands there. Yeah. Came back down the west coast of Vancouver Island. Just incredible journey last year.
For training period, it was quite an interesting training period.
Yes, and this is how I learned.
I had to correct Adrienne at some point because every time we would meet other cruisers on our trip, she would start off with something like, well, we're new to the sailing thing. And I'm like, we're in Alaska. You can't hide behind this. We're new at this. At some point, we have to
How many nautical
3,000 nautical miles in 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't make the great distances like on a passage, But because of the granite walls and deep fjords, the anchorages are very few and far in between.
Oftentimes 30, 32 meters that we're anchoring in, and
7-8 meter tides. So it was a lot of challenge between the weather, the conditions.
Weather conditions are not so easy. In
there's some challenges,
There are definitely challenges,
and there's also beautiful days.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of fog, sometimes a lot of currents. I think the part that appealed to us the most was the solitude. The connection to the nature. I mean, there were absolutely some weeks where we saw more whales and more bears
than humans.
Than humans, yeah.
Wow, good.
We were in places.
Also, you are connected with Starlinks, and you were working aboard as remote jobs.
I was going to say there were times when we were in fjords, we couldn't even get the VHF to work, but the Starlink would work.
Wow,
and we were still wrapping up. We were preparing a business for sale while we were doing that. And we knew that was the intention, was to keep working and keep that process going while we were in Alaska. So, we were connected. We did what we needed to do.
Yeah. And during 7 years, you had in mind your future.
One day
we will have one.
One day we're getting an Amel.
Why? Why did you fall in love with this brand and these models?
This was his passion.
I love to learn, and I love to learn from other people's experiences. So I read a lot of blogs of people who went to faraway places.
Yeah.
So again, the solitude, the adventuring spirit, the distances, and I don't have the statistics, but it just seemed like when we were talking about monohull sailors, Amel was showing up in all these different places.
Yeah.
And impressively enough, a lot of Amel boats were showing up that were 20, 30 or more years old, and they were still operating and functional and easy to keep up and just solid boats.
Very well constructed.
So good.
The quality of construction was quite impressive to see when we started to really dig in to the Amel brand.
And then also because we knew we were in the process of selling the business and really changing our life so that it would be full-time on board.
Because with the Amel there is a life change. That is, you have sold the company and now it's the start of a new life.
And so last year we decided, let's sell the house, let's sell the cars, let's just be all in.
Wow, free.
And if we're going to do that, it's funny because some people joke when they think that we don't have a home. And some people might make a joke and say, "Oh, you don't have a home," and no, we're home free. We have no responsibility.
You have a 50 feet home.
Yes, well, in 10 days we do.
In
10 days we do.
ActuNautique, this is a new home.
Well, and for 10 more days we were home free, not homeless.
And in 10 days?
And in 10 days, this becomes our home.
This is our home, full time.
And until then, as Adrienne said, we sold, we gave away, we just decided that we're going to fully commit and be present to this. So this was a process of deconstructing our lives and putting everything in about 8 or 9 suitcases.
Right.
Wow.
Well, and one of the considerations was we knew we want to be full-time. And if we're going to do that, we want a bigger, more comfortable boat. But at the same time, we want a boat that only the two of us can handle. We don't want to always need extra people. We don't want crew. We want
short crew.
It to be our short-handed. And this boat is, for me, comfortable enough to be a full-time home. And
safe
enough.
Easy
to
maneuver.
And we can do it with just 2 people.
Everything
is controlled centrally. Everything is set up to be intuitive. Everything is set up to really be navigated by a couple.
A couple.
So that
what will be your program?
Well,
because your program will make our ActuNautique stream a lot.
We'll send you some postcards, perhaps. Digital postcards.
And when we will come around the southern of Sweden, we will welcome you at home.
We look forward to being there.
So for the next couple of years, we plan on staying in the Med. That's where we're picking up this boat. And we think that's a beautiful part of the world to explore, the history, the cultures, the food, of course. So we're going to be in the Med for a couple of years. And the idea is to start in France and kind of do a clockwise run through the Med over the next couple of seasons. Some islands, some mainlands, probably as far east as Turkey, maybe Cyprus, and then kind of the southern route on the way back. And we're going to go out through Gibraltar and head north.
And come see you in Sweden.
Yeah.
And we love the fjords. Obviously, we
Fjord,
found it in Alaska.
All the Norwegian coast, you have all the Baltic Sea, beautiful ports, harbors, cities.
So we'll spend a couple years up in the Baltic area and maybe do the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland before we come back.
Shetlands.
At this point, we might be 5 years in.
Yeah. And again, plans are written at low tide and sand, and things might change, but our idea is that we'll spend a couple years here, a couple years north, and then cross the Atlantic. And at that point, we kind of have some choice of, do we go more towards the Caribbean, North America? We've even talked about possibly doing kind of Newfoundland and kind of the northern route back to Europe if we wanted to do that. Or when we cross the Atlantic, do we head a little bit further south and end up in Brazil? Because as we would follow the coast of South America, we've been thinking about
Patagonia,
rounding Cape Horn and then
Chile.
seeing some of the Patagonian coast.
Yeah.
Again, more fjords, more seclusion. So.
And then the Pacific calls.
And the Pacific calls, and again,
you have no frontier. In your dream,
no.
All the doors are open, and you give you opportunity to open each door.
That's right. And each time we go from one region to the next, we'll decide, okay, where do we want to go?
Yeah.
What's the next, 6 months, 12 months hold for us? And we always say we haven't said we need to circumnavigate. That's not the intention or the goal. But we're pretty sure by the time we're done, if you connect all the dots, we will come around. But that's not with the intention of just a direct circumnavigation. That feels too fast and too...
There is not an objective.
Exactly.
It's a life.
It's a life. It's the journey. It's the experiences we have.
People you will meet, places you will discover.
Yeah, it's cultures, and it's just being present. We don't want to do a quick... We hit 26 countries in 3 years and 30,000 nautical. Like those kind of statistics don't appeal to us. What appeals to us is go, spend some time, get to know the culture, get to know the history, get to know the people.
It will take time.
Yes.
And if it takes us 10 years, if it takes us 15 years, that's
no
okay
matter.
with us.
Yeah.
What do you tell? What do you say to people who dream of such a program? But because often people can buy a boat, but a lot of people they buy the boat, but they don't begin the travel.
Right.
What would be your advice?
Well, I would say we have a conversation between us a lot of when is enough enough. We worked hard all of our lives. You make your money, you get to a place where you can buy a boat. It's really easy to convince yourself that it's not enough yet, I have to work more.
But at the moment you have to transform.
Right?
One more year syndrome.
At some point, right?
Yeah.
At some point you have to ask yourself that question, and we wanted to go when we were young enough that we can spend 10, 15 years living aboard a sailboat. Anyone who sails knows it's not an easy lifestyle.
Yeah.
It can be strenuous. So we wanted to do it when we had the energy and stamina and still the opportunities to go and do that. I mean...
As we talked to many people, many cruisers that we met along the way in the Pacific Northwest in particular over the last couple of years, we would ask them, what would you advise us? We're still relatively new to this lifestyle. What would you say to us? And of course you get the opinions on which anchor to use, and you get opinions on which motor oil to use or where is the best place to provision or something like that. But when we really dug deep with people and said, okay, but like what's in this lifestyle? Because anybody who has even tried it for a little bit knows this. You don't choose this for being easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes the legalities of checking in and out, or how long you can stay, or how long the boat can stay, all of that. But across the spectrum, I would say almost every single person that we've talked to basically told us the one common denominator was always, we wish we would have started 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And so when we looked at each other and we had conversations and said, what are we doing? What are we chasing? If we want to go and travel, if we want to go experience this lifestyle, I don't want to be there giving that advice to somebody else in 20 years going, gee, we wish we'd have started 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
So we just said, let's just do it. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah. Go.
Just go. Just go. Start somewhere, you know. And when we first bought our first boat, it was an older boat. It was a smaller boat. I had a lot of learning to do. But just get out there and just do it and try. And yeah.
There's no substitution for experience. So I think to your question of what would we share with others is whatever is the next step for any individual. Some have maybe dinghy experience, some have racing experience, some have some charter experience. Take the next step.
Yeah.
And that might be a little bit more education, that might be working as a crew, stepping a little bit outside of that comfort zone, but just taking the next step, because it's so easy. I mean, let's face it, life today can be very comfortable.
Yeah.
People can get very kind of set into the routine, and sailing is anything but routine.
Yeah.
The weather's always changing, the ports are always changing, the conditions are always different. So taking that next step, I would say, is super important.
You will make our ActuNautique dream a lot. Because so much people dream. You have the luck to do something that so few people can achieve in their life.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would hope, I mean, I'm all for, I was a dreamer for many years, pulled Adrienne into it.
And you succeeded in transforming
And
the dream into reality.
And that's what I would really encourage people is, like, you know, if they want to follow our journey or, you know, read our blog posts, see some fun pictures that we post or something, that's all great. But we share this with friends is, you know, I don't expect everybody to become a sailor.
Yeah.
But whatever the passion is, take the next step. Do it now. Because transform, because you're going to look back and you're going to regret the things you didn't do.
Yeah.
Not that you tried something and maybe didn't like.
Anyway, we wish you all the best for this new page you are opening in your life.
Thank you.
About this new Amel 50, you will take delivery in
10 days.
10 days.
10
On
days.
your mobile phone, you showed me
countdown,
yesterday.
yes.
You have the countdown.
That countdown's been going since about 280 something days. I think we started.
Hundreds
so
of days.
It's getting close. It's getting close.
I've been looking forward to seeing that number fall into the single digits, and then this beautiful home of ours that we named Grace is going to be ours.
We are aboard Grace. Thank you very much, Adrienne and Peter.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you.
And so I will leave you ActuNautique with a global view of the Carré Saloon of this very beautiful Amel 50 Grace. A beautiful luxury sail yacht dedicated to blue water cruising. See you soon on blue water cruising.